When it comes to thinking about ESG, I guess a lot of investors just think of it in terms of risk mitigation, particularly reputational risk, but are there genuine gains to be made?
Yes, thank you, and I'm very happy to be here. So, at First State Super, our primary purpose is to actually deliver long-term returns to our members. As part of our investment decision-making process, we've been looking at in integrating environmental, social and governance risks into our investment process. What that is about is really understanding all risks associated with our investments and ensuring that we are mitigating those risks. What we have seen a lot, though, too, is understanding it from the opportunity lens. So when we're looking at our investments as well, how do we look at the opportunities for the long term when it comes to integrating environmental and social governance into our investment decision-making process?
So how do your returns compare with other funds?
So our returns over the long term do compare. So we sit sort of in the top quartile in terms of our returns. So there's it's certainly, from our perspective, is thinking about the long term and the long-term returns to our members.
So how does your focus change depending on the region or industry or the investment horizon when looking at ESG investing?
Yes, so we sort of, at First State Super, we have investments with external fund managers, we have internally managed funds, and we also do direct investments. So, and as a global investor, we're obviously invested in all markets and all regions and all sectors as well. So depending on those, obviously, various regions, timeline of investments, and what the actual underlying investment is, will determine what types of environmental, social and governance risks that we are looking at. So, for example, if we're looking at a long-term infrastructure asset that may be a port, we'll be looking at issues such as physical risks to the actual investment. We'll be looking at things like safety and a number of different things as well. So when we are also working with our fund managers, the process that we have there is to ensure that they are integrating ESG into their investment process as well. So we look at things such as their policies, their resources, their stewardship, which is voting and engagement, alignment and transparency, so how transparent they are in their process.
Do you have any direct interactions with the Australian energy and mining sectors?
Yes, we do. So we've actually been engaging with companies for quite some time. Our active ownership has been a key pillar in terms of our ESG integration. We actually engage with all sectors and all companies that we invest in. What's been very successful, particularly with a lot of the energy and mining companies, and a focus has been climate change risk and how they are responding to climate change risk. So we've been engaging with them, particularly as part of a collaborative engagement of Climate Action 100. And that's really about asking companies to disclose to investors how they are looking at the long-term environmental risks.
So, Liza, what are some of your most recent investments and where are you looking at the moment?
Yeah, so most recently, in terms of some of our direct assets, have been some infrastructure assets that we have with some land titles in Australia. We've also invested in retirement villages, and we've also invested in affordable housing in New South Wales in Australia. We continue to look for investments that will deliver long-term returns for our members, both locally, globally. Renewables and anything related to an energy transition are a focus from an opportunity perspective, and there's also a focus to build out our affordable housing portfolio as well.